I think we're good.
All right, folks, so I would love for our panelists to introduce themselves. If you can just share your name, your academic background, and where you're working right now. And then I have some questions, but this is a very informal panel, so please feel free to ask questions, jump in after introductions. I have questions because I know sometimes it takes students a little bit to warm up and ask questions. So I'm happy to get us started, but this time really is for you to ask the questions that you want answered. Okay? Derica, you want to start us off?
Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to my blog. I'm just kidding. So I graduated here May of 2018 with a bachelor's in Child and Adolescent Development with a minor in Health Professions. What am I doing now? Oh yeah. I work full time for the YMCA of San Francisco, but I also do work part time as a financial educator for World System Builder.
I'm Andrea Madrinan. I graduated in 2015 in child development, and I have my master's in counseling psychology with 2 concentrations, one in school counseling and another in professional clinical counseling. And right now I'm at Fremont Unified as a high school counselor.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I graduated in May of 2016. I'm a CHAD major, and I'm working at the headquarters for Goodwill of Silicon Valley.
All right. Good morning, folks. Or not good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Willie Kwong. Graduated from San Jose State back in 2013 in the Child and Adolescent Development Department. And then once again in 2015 with a master's in child development at San Jose State. Currently, I'm teaching full-time at Mission College as one of the professors there. So, yeah.
So all really different trajectories, all started out with a CHAD foundation, different graduate experiences. Anybody want to start with the first question? No? Okay. So I think it is helpful to kind of talk a little bit about your journey to the place where you are now. Your career trajectory. So whoever wants to dive in first and just talk a little bit about that pathway, what that looked like for you, I think would be helpful.
Should we just go like that again?
Yeah,
please.
Please.
Me again. So basically, after graduating May 2018, I moved back home, which is in Stockton, just because I worked at the CDC over there down that way. They were able to let me work there until the summertime, so around like July and whatnot. Of course, it was part-time, but after that was over, moved back home and didn't want to be there anymore. So that urge of like, okay, I need to get a job. But it was the idea of like, where am I going to go? I love San Jose. San Jose is my second home, but I hate the hot weather. But luckily enough, I was actually planning on moving to San Francisco with my boyfriend. So I applied. I actually didn't get a job maybe for a good 3 months. It was scary because doing phone interviews after day, commuting from Stockton to San Francisco just to do interviews back to back. It was a journey. Some of it was very, my ego, my will kind of went down. And then other times it's just like, okay, do I really want to do this? Just because in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to be a nonprofit because I did an internship with First Five, and I'm like, oh yes, I love this. But based on my resume, it was like, okay, I can really just do teaching. And of course, I love kids, but I was kind of tired at that time. But luckily enough, I was able to hit a, what is that called, an interview with the YMCA. I work at an off-site program because we're more than just a gym. We do other programs too. So I work at their child care center, and luckily enough, I got the job as an admin assistant. I love it so much just because I get to work with the kids, but I get to work with admin kind of way, and I get to work with families, and then now I'm branching out into the whole program of the YMCA and all the branches and whatnot. So yeah, that's like my journey. But of course, during that time, like I said earlier, I worked part-time as a financial educator. So during that time of unemployment, I did work part-time being a financial educator because I'm a licensed professional. So I had here and there money, but of course I needed something stable. But now I'm here, everything's good. Got promoted about 2 months ago as enrollment coordinator. Got my raises and everything's looking good. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So I'm going to take it back a little further just to kind of provide some context as to my journey. So coming into San Jose State, I came in 2009. I came in as a chemistry major, thinking that I was going to do something in pharmaceuticals, something in the medical field. I hated science, so kind of going fast forward to switching my major 6 times and ended up with Chad. And the reason why I chose Chad as that this is it for me is because I went back to my roots back in high school. I knew I wanted to work with kids. Like, regardless what I did as my career, it had to be something with the kids. So graduated with Chad, and it took me about, same like 3 to 4 months to find a job, but I did so many interviews. I went from Seneca to just different school districts, seeing that what I can get just with this child development major, and it's not obvious. It doesn't say on your degree, these are the jobs that you can get with this diploma, so or this this degree, and so it's not very obvious, and you kind of have to just try different things and interview at different places. I landed with a job at the Santa Clara County Office of Ed as an admin assistant in their multilingual department. I was not happy there. It was very, my personal opinion, was just very political, just a lot of logistical works, and it didn't go back to why I went to Chad to begin with, and that was to work with the kids. So in that job, I was there for about a year. And I realized, this is not what I want. I want to be in the schools. I want to make change with the students. So I went back to school and got my master's in counseling psychology at USF. And USF had a dual concentration option to also get your major in professional clinical counseling. So I have both as a background, just so I can see what I can do with it. Do I want to work in schools, or do I want to open my own practice and focus solely on mental health support? And after I graduated there, I got a job in an elementary school in Fremont Unified. Although that was a good experience, I knew it wasn't for me just because of the age group. It's solely focused on mental health. I got burned out really quick. Working with students with multiple traumas, trying to connect them with resources that we just don't have, and it was just really frustrating being in that position. And then now I'm at a high school, and I absolutely love it just because there's balance. There's not only is it social and emotional, but you're also supporting students, trying to figure out their own pathway. So every day is different. Every day I have a student in my office that needs support in a variety of different ways. But yeah, I love my job. I love the hours. I'm out by 3. Summer's off. It's wonderful.
Okay, let's see. So when I graduated in 2016, I had just wrapped up doing an internship with Reading Partners, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. And I was working as a nanny at the time. And I came across a job posting, and I applied to work at Reading Partners as a site coordinator. So I took that position, and I worked with them for 2 years. And I thought that I wanted to pursue the path of becoming a teacher. So once I finished my 2-year term with Reading Partners, I started looking for other jobs to transition to. And I took a position with the Alumni School District as a para-educator for the special education teacher. I did that for a year, and although I loved working with kids, I realized that my long-term goal does not involve working with children anymore. I really do like working for a nonprofit, so I came across a job posting for a case manager for the Goodwill of Silicon Valley, so that's where I'm at now. And I've been there for about 7 months, and I really like the nature of the work. We work with people that have barriers to employment, so people that maybe they're battling like addiction, or they're formerly homeless, maybe they're currently homeless, maybe they just got out of being incarcerated, just a wide variety of people that we serve. So that's what I'm doing now, and yeah, I really like it, and I'm thinking in maybe 2 to 3 years coming back to school, pursuing a master's in social work, because that's something that I'm really passionate about. Even though I still have like my child development degree, there's just so many things that you can do with it. Like, it doesn't limit you to just working with kids. Because of my previous, job experiences, the skills that I have, they do carry over to other, forms of work. So don't feel like limited to just child development or whatever your major is. Yeah.
All right. Actually, before I tell you what my background and such, how many here know what they want to do? Just a quick show of hands. How many here? And who's kind of super lost? I guess everyone's kind of in between. Okay, seems like it. Okay, so I just wanted to get that background because that helps me understand where you guys are coming from and what you're looking for. So a little background about myself. You may be wondering, how is this person a professor, right? That is a big question. So just a little background. So I graduated 2013, 2015 is when I finished my master's here at San Jose State. Teaching at a college, you actually need just a master's. So many people don't realize that. You just need a master's. I always recommend going for more degrees, which I'm planning to, but if you want to teach just core classes at a college level, you just need a master's. However, it's not just a master's, it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. So I want to preface that first. And being a professor is great. You get summers off and winters. So you essentially, you're in the classroom maybe 8 months out of the year, and it's pretty nice. But besides that, I would like to talk about my journey, how I got there. So right from 2013, that's when I started working at various child development centers. And then through that process, I was applying for graduate school at San Jose State. My last year, between 2014 and 2015, is when I TA'd at as a TA for one of the classes at San Jose State, and that really got my foot into the door of college teaching. So have you guys taken John Jabachurian? Yeah? So he's a great guy. Talk to him. Shout out to John. So he was the one that actually informed me that you can actually teach with just a master's. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I looked into it a little bit more. How do you get a job teaching as a professor? Well, it's quite simple. You get the master's first, and then you shoot everyone an email in the Bay Area. So I went over all the community colleges in the Bay Area. I said, hey, my name is Willie Kwong. I'm going to get my degree in child development at San Jose State. Do you have any positions opening up? And then I think I sent maybe 24, 25 emails. I got back 2 replies. Now, this just shows you that it's very hard to get a job in general. You need to put out applications. You need to practice the interview process. And I can't stress that enough. Your resume needs to be top tier. Your resume needs to explain what you can do, the qualities that you provide, the skills that you have. You need to practice your interview. You need to be able to talk in front of people, because there's going to be people just grilling you with questions. My biggest encouragement to you is don't stop what you're passionate about. The reason for that is because teaching part-time in colleges for the past 4 years, you don't make that much money. There were points where I got free healthcare because I made so little money. But I kept persisting. I kept pursuing what I loved, which was to educate adults, you guys, and that's where I really landed this full-time position. The faculty at Mission College, they saw the passion that I had for my students. They saw the work experience I had with the children I worked with. It's all about pursuing your passions and giving it your all. If you're not giving it your all, you should be in a new field. So, yeah, that's my encouragement to you. Don't give up, even though it's hard, and work on your resume, because that's very key. And your interview skills. To get a job, it's not having the best grades. You don't need the best grades to get an amazing job. You need to be able to explain yourself well. Okay?
I want to hold some space for questions. Yeah, Henry.
I have a question for the panelists, not in particular, but through the peaks and valleys of your guys' careers and perhaps studies, have there been specific moments where you explicitly defined your values? If there have been, what are some of the ways that you guys went about that? Because I've tried just writing down my values and seeing how that can guide my actions and my decision making on a day-to-day basis. And there's different methods out there, but I'm just curious on if you guys have experience with that.
Yeah. Is it okay if I go ahead?
Go for it.
For me, I learned through my experiences. I think every job has taught me something. Like at the County Office of Ed, I learned I wanted to work with the kids, and I found value more working with kids than I did in an office full of adults. And then, yeah, like as time goes on and the more experiences that you have, whether they're the most challenging or the most successful, I think you could pinpoint what is it that you found most important about that situation, and kind of have that guide you for what you're looking for. I knew through my experience that education was really important to me regardless, because I'm a first gen and no one in my family had a college degree. So I knew that regardless of what I go, education was going to be important. And again, no matter how difficult education was or how difficult the job was, I just focused on my values to continue. If that answers your question.
Like critically reflect on the experiences that we are all having and have that kind of guide next.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that, you just know right off the bat and can write it on paper and use this piece of paper to kind of guide your path. More so you learn as you go.
Next. Great question. Oh, so being part of the Y, I've had like a list of like my whys. Just because like it wasn't a long time ago till I graduated, so of course I'm still in my early stages of like finding out what I want to do, my career path, because I know for sure I don't want to be at the front desk forever. And I've expressed that a lot to my boss. And I think the good thing about it too is don't get afraid to ask questions, especially to your boss. Hopefully your boss is going to be very nice. But I just tell her, like, I'm fairly new to everything. Like, I'm learning how to adult and whatnot. Living in the Bay Area is not cheap. And, being in this field, it's always mission versus commission type of stuff. And there were days that I'm just, like, looking at, okay, these are the loans I have to pay. This is my rent. This is this and this and this. And kind of those, like, tangible things are the ones I'm just like, oh, my God, what am I going to do with life? But I guess really kind of getting those whys of why am I even like here? Why am I even living? Why did I even go to school? And it's really just to make a better life for myself and for my family in the future. So of course there were times where I would literally go to my boss's office and start crying because I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to make it financially wise, because I want to do this and this, and there's a lot of sacrifice I need to do, and being a financial educator, I got to preach what I teach kind of thing. So I'm just like, oh my God, I'm contradicting myself. But like having her guidance, because she's been in the field for over 30 years and she knows that type of struggle of things, and she's like, hey, just you are in the beginning stage, everything will be fine, but just keep pushing. And she's even offering doing different trainings for me, sending me off to different places just so I can broaden myself out and really discover where I want to go. just because I do know I want to be a nonprofit, but I don't really know exactly where exactly yet, because these people, wow. But it's really just really trying to just push yourself. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice to get that second prize of things, but it's just keep going, find that mentor, even like going to this lovely professor over here and going back to her and asking things, because they have so much experience, and if you don't really know where you want to be, but you know what you want to have, ask them how to do it. Just because if I didn't ask that question, then my boss wouldn't have forced me to do different different projects, and that led me to my promotion. It led me to my raise. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so it's good to ask questions. And don't be afraid too, you're not gonna find that ideal job right away, especially like you heard it already, it's tough getting a job out there. People don't really speak about it, but yeah, I'm like a professional at telephone interviews. You gotta like research the company, do all this other things. If you don't know the question, don't say I don't know, say that's a good question. Like those things, like really know that everything comes in pieces, and you're just doing things step by step. But at the same time too, just always make sure that you have that support system to keep pushing you. Because who knows, like for me, I'm not sure if I want to go to my master's, if I want to pursue more things, but it takes time. You know, we're all still young, and then as long as you work smart and you really feel like your experience is like, okay, it's leading me this way, then go for it. Just because at the end of the day, we're all here for a reason, and you just gotta take every opportunity and everything, and you'll be fine.
Do you mind repeating your question?
Something related about values, so your thoughts on how you define your values and how you live by them.
Okay, let's see. So for me, okay, so a little background, like I grew up in East San Jose. I went to like a Title I elementary school, a Title I middle school. I don't know if my high school was Title I, but you kind of get the picture, like low income, underserved. And I think coming from that sort of background, like what I value the most is kind of like giving back to the community, like serving the community, So it's kind of led me through that. It's really interesting. So like when I worked for Reading Partners, I was stationed at a school, San Antonio, which you were one of my tutors. I was stationed at San Antonio for 2 years, and that's a part of the Alumni School District. Like I lived like 5 minutes down the street, So kind of like I brought my values into my work and like the community that I live and / serve for. And then I had transitioned to a paraeducator. I worked at Chavez Elementary School, which was like down the street. It was even closer to my house. And I think for me, like what I value most is just like I know what I want to do. No matter what job I do, I know that it will involve serving the community. Like that's what I value most. I think it's really important to serve the community or be like a representation of the community that you came from. It's kind of like, look, I made it. Like you can do it too. And like now I work like down the street, like North 7th Street, because that's where the headquarters for Goodwill is located. And I'm not necessarily serving just the community like East San Jose. It's very diverse. Like since I'm a case manager and I have a caseload of people, I have to drive out to like the retail stores to see my participants. So some of the stores I have to go to aren't really necessarily located in my community, which I'm kind of bummed about. But overall, I'm still serving the community. I'm serving San Jose. I'm serving the people that, maybe they had barriers that were similar to mine growing up. So, yeah. So I know what my values are, even though I can't really necessarily maybe list them or write them out on paper. But I think if you can find employment that really represents what you value, then like no matter how much you make, and as long as you're happy, then that's what's most important. Yeah.
Just to piggyback off what everyone else has said, I think they said some great things, and I also agree with that. The values that I live by are help people regardless of whether you're in a good situation or a bad situation. The reason for that is because as educators, as future educators, we give so much, right? We invest in our students, we invest in our young children. There needs to be that continual investment, and I think I live by those values by simply just checking up with my students, asking them how they're doing, talking about things that they're struggling with. Those are values that I live by, about giving back to students, and that's also why I'm here too, because I want to give back and help you guys, because I know graduating, that's another tough job, because you were probably, because growing up you probably know I need to finish 6th grade, then 8th grade, and then high school, and then you're like, okay, I should probably go to college. But then after college, you're like, what the heck am I supposed to do? And that's where I'm here to answer questions about helping you guys. So that's where my values really lie in. It really is rooted in helping the future generation, like you guys, finding a job, finding your career, finding your passion.
Yeah.
For those of you that went to grad school, I have a few questions. Like how long were your programs, and in what ways were they different from your undergrad? And also what really helped you in that experience from both?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first? Okay. So the CHAD program, the master's program is a lot different than undergrad. Who's a CHAD major here? CHAD majors? Oh, wonderful. Okay. So, CHAD majors. So, when you're in an undergrad class, you take notes, you have exams. That's fine and dandy. When you're in graduate school, there are exams, but it's heavily revolved around papers and articles and presentations. For instance, when I got into grad school, one of my first presentation was an hour and a half long. Now imagine presenting an hour and a half about one article. That will blow your mind, right? That's the big difference. Grad school is very small. It's collaborative, so you actually get to meet and know your classmates very well, versus undergrad. There's a bunch of us, so you may not make that connection, but I still keep in contact with a lot of my colleagues, with my cohort. And I think that's what the San Jose State's Child Development Master's Program does a great job. It creates that cohort that comes together to succeed and just do well. What was your other question again? It was?
The length of the program.
Oh, the length. Oh, it's 2 years. 2-year program. It's not a fairly long program. They make it where you can go work and go to school. For instance, I taught full-time at a preschool while going to San Jose State for my master's. So it's very doable, although you will be sacrificing a lot of your time at night working and reading articles. There's a lot of reading too. There's a lot more reading. And if you don't read in undergrad, well, be ready for grad school, because there is a lot of reading. But it's good reading because it's something that we're interested in. And if that's not what you want to pursue, then you shouldn't be in the field. If you don't want to help children, if you don't want to understand more about them, you shouldn't be pursuing a master's degree. So, length of our program was great. Big difference is you're presenting, you're reading articles, and my experience, I formed stronger bonds with my professors and my cohort. Yeah.
I agree. No offense, I loved my grad program compared to undergrad. And I think a big part of that is because you're going in choosing a field that you are 100% interested in. Obviously, it's very expensive. It's very time consuming, so you're not wasting your time there. You're there for one focus only. And I think that's why it makes it so enjoyable, because you're taking classes that are really interesting to you. There's no GE classes that you're taking like it is here. You're taking English, science, these random classes. You jump right in taking your degree courses. And then, so I went to University of San Francisco. I wanted to try something different other than San Jose State. and loved it. Like it was cohort style, same thing, working program. You do make a lot of sacrifices. I'll say, like, there were a lot of times I couldn't go out with my friends on the weekends. My classes were Thursday, Friday from 5 to 10 p.m. and all day Saturday. So I basically, lost the good times with the friends, but it's a huge payoff because you're making connections there. Like you said, I still have good relationships with the people that I met. My professors, my advisor is basically a mentor to me till this day. It was a 2-year program, and the biggest thing that I loved about it, other than what I've already listed already, was that mine was application based. So for counseling psychology at USF, we didn't have a thesis. There were essays here and there. We didn't have any exams. Everything was application based. So they would give you an assignment. You would go out to the field. You have your internships. You have to complete a certain amount of hours. So I actually did my internships in Fremont Unified, and that kind of helped me get the job. And they tell you that, they say to get an internship in a location where you feel like you want to work for, because it's easier to get in once your foot's in the door as an intern. And what you're doing is you're bringing the assignments to your internship, and you're basically like a fly on the wall. You're seeing how your mentor works with students, and then you come back and you just present on it, and you collab with your cohort on their experiences. And I absolutely love my program, and if going for your master's is something that you're interested in, I definitely recommend it. I took a year off of San Jose State, so after I graduated San Jose State, I took a year off to work, kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to do, and the job that I had in that year motivated me to go back to school and get my master's. So there was like no rush. It's totally on your own time. And as far as like your classmates, the ages are just crazy different. I had people in the program as young as like 22 because they jumped right in after undergrad, to like mid-40s because they wanted to go back to school. So there's definitely no rush into going into grad school right after.
But just go straight into it. Just go straight into it. My mentality is get it done first. Suffer in the beginning, you're going to reap the benefits later in life. That's kind of like retirement too, so retire early.
But then you also want to be ready.
For sure.
You also want to be mentally ready. Like, I don't think after undergrad I was ready to take on another 2 years of school because I was already in school for 6 years in undergrad. So I took that year off, collected some paychecks at the job, and then I was mentally prepared to go into master's. But if you're ready, go for it.
I think those are really good points, because those are two of the concerns that students bring up the most, is like, if I don't go now, will I ever go, right? Or if I don't go, or if I go right now, what if I want to do something different? So in Willie's case, he knew exactly kind of the trajectory that he was going to be on. Being a TA really got you fired up, and so you had your pathway kind of set in front of you. But taking that time off and feeling out, okay, what's the population I want to serve? Where do I want to work? And then going back, even Gabrielle, as you were speaking, if you were to have gone right into a child development master's program, that might not have been applicable to what you ultimately want to do.
And it also would have been a waste of my money, considering
Very expensive, yeah.
when I graduated, I was already so I was in school for 6 years. There was a lot of, personal things that I was going through, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. It took me 4 years to complete my just general education. So I've definitely taken the time, and I am planning to take a little more time before I do decide to go back to school, because it has taken me this long to figure out what I want to go back for. And that's okay if it does take you that long, You also want to, build your resume. Like, if you don't have the GPA to just jump right into a master's program, like myself, I didn't have the GPA to do that. What I've been doing these last few years is just building my resume, because that's also really important. That plays into whatever field of study you want to go into when you do pursue your master's. So that's also something to consider.
Super important. Thank you for sharing that.
I have a question for Andrea.
Yeah.
So what, I know you said that you've like always like, or you went back to like thinking what you wanted to do in high school and like that you still wanted to work with kids.
Mhm.
What made you do like specifically like counseling?
So in being a first gen, like having no one in my household know the college system whatsoever, it was really challenging just to find my ways in undergrad. I kind of just followed what my friends did because they kind of seemed to know what they were doing. Financial aid, I'm like, yeah, sure, fill that out. You know, I didn't really know what I was getting into. But then over the course of the time, I realized that the reason why I was so confused was because I didn't have a really great counselor in high school. I didn't have a counselor who like sat down with me, laid out my options for me, and really gave me that insight that I needed for directions. Just especially my first year of undergrad, it was just so confusing as to where I was even going, and that made me realize like I want to be a high school counselor. I want to be a counselor that I didn't have. Someone that can help me with the guidance or even just hold on to that relationship during my first year of college with, you know, to help me out. So.
One of the things that I've heard a couple of times, and I'm hoping that you all can elaborate on, is the importance of having a mentor. Someone in the field that you can talk to. Can anybody share a little bit more about the importance of having a mentor in the work that you're doing?
All right, I guess I'll start us off. Yeah, I think having a mentor is quite important. The reason for that is because, oh man, you don't know what to do, right? You're confused about life. You're confused about what to do next. Like if you want to buy a car, you know, you need a mentor to figure out what car to buy. Or you go on YouTube, right? So one of my first mentors was actually John Jobchurian. He was actually my faculty advisor in the master's program. And he just really walked me through the process of actually applying for faculty positions throughout the Bay Area. So having a mentor is very important with gaining their skills and knowledge. Do you guys have a mentor right now? Some do, some don't? Okay, I would recommend, you know, talk to someone that you kind of trust or know about. Maybe your professors. If they're too intimidating, you know, talk to someone else. But find someone that you can really connect with. They're going to have some insight that you may not have. And they can also write you letters of recommendation, which is very important. Very, very important. But you know, I think they're going to have a lot of wisdom. And currently my mentor is my faculty chair. She currently is mentoring me on how to teach and how to just lead the department as a whole. And I think having someone right by you, coaching you, is a good benefit because they provide so much that you won't normally consider. So, yeah, find a mentor. If you don't have one now, I don't know, go on Facebook and check someone out.
Job posting.
Yeah, go on Craigslist. I'm looking for a mentor. Don't do that.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah, don't do that. But find someone here on campus. Our professor is a great way to do that. Talk to John. He's probably going to get a lot of applicants, but John's great.
Yeah, no, it's definitely important to have a mentor. I don't really have one per se in my, I want to pursue social work. I'm in like the case managing position right now, so I don't have a mentor that can relate to like my job experience. But I do, my mentor right now would be my old program manager from Reading Partners, Robert. So yeah, I think it's definitely important to have one because like for me, going from being a nanny while in college to graduating and then jumping into like the professional world, it was hard for me to click like in a team setting. I'm the type of person where I'm very direct. Like when I tell people, I kind of tell them how it is. And he had to kind of teach me and coach me how to express what I was feeling, but in I guess a nicer way. Just because I was so direct and my personality, I'm pretty like outgoing. A lot of people can interpret it as like, oh, she thinks she knows everything. She's kind of mean. just because I'm pretty serious when I'm direct with what I have to say. So yeah, he's definitely helped me. He's definitely helped me with like how to communicate with other people that maybe they have different opinions than you do. How to communicate effectively, like through email, like, you know, watching your tone, being professional via email. Definitely like helping me realize like what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what do I need to work on, what my potential is, because a lot of times when you're lost, you don't really know what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, what kind of potential you have. But if you have like a mentor, someone who can see it in you and then tell you what it is, it's kind of eye-opening. So then you kind of see like what your own potential is. But yeah, it's definitely important to have a mentor, and you don't have to ask them, hey, can you be my mentor? You know, they kind of just end up turning into one. And I haven't been working for Reading Partners since like 2018. Until this day, I still like once a month pick up the phone and we'll catch up and have a conversation like how is work, how is life. We'll have dinner together and, you know, just talk about life. Yeah, it's definitely important to have a mentor though.
It just to emphasize that point, it's kind of like a bigger sibling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be very informal. They won't even know that they're your mentor, but they are.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say that I actually didn't have a mentor until I hit grad school. I think I had like mini mentors with every job I had, like the person I reported to, you just build a strong connection with and kind of get their take on, you know, what you know me as your employee, what kind of path you kind of see me in, or just kind of just that connection. But I didn't have like an official mentor until I hit grad school, and that's because we were required to have one. But I'm so thankful that I did, because she's one of my colleagues now. She's been a counselor for almost 20 years, and I go to her for everything. She's so honest with me about, you know, the great things about counseling and also the things that she found very challenging. So I guess my suggestion is, you know, at this point, think of someone that you feel who knows you and knows the field that you're interested in, and just build the connection from there. And every step you take in every job or internship that you come across, just continue to build a network for yourself. And then, you know, like she said, it's not like you label them right away. It's a relationship you build over time.
Okay. So I was a part of AVID in high school. I'm not sure if anyone knows what that is. It's like a college prep. But basically for some odd reason, I always get I get to know my teachers very well when I try not to. But basically, like you, I'm a first gen too. My parents did not know anything about FAFSA, didn't know anything about what college I should go to or anything. All they wanted me to do is the typical Filipino dream of being a nurse. But I took anatomy and that did not work out. Took it twice. It still irks me today. But luckily for my high school teachers, they were actually the one that told me, you know, you're really good at talking with kids. You're really good at talking with like people. And I'm like, really? And I kind of, luckily enough, Chad was one of the prereqs for nursing, and I'm like, oh my God, I found my thing. And I still talk to them to this day. And then coming here, I was part of Akbayan, which is the table that you guys see over there all the time. They actually have a mentorship program where I got paired up with a mentor. She's like my big sister. She lives in Vegas now, being a nurse, but I talk to her all the time about anything in life. I'm a mentor to five people too, and to this day they still ask me like, oh my God, can you help me? I'm dealing with this and this and this. So kind of seeing the sides of being a mentor and being a mentee kind of really not forced me to grow up, it was forcing me to like kind of broaden myself in terms of looking at the world how it is. And then luckily enough in my job, like I said earlier, I have my boss, she's like amazing. And through the Y, we actually have this program called Coachable Me, where we actually have to ask someone from the YMCA to be a mentor to you, and we have to do all these assignments and whatnot. And I'm like, who the heck do I ask? I'm like, I can't ask my boss because she said no, and I'm like, I don't really know where I want to go. And I was like, I see the COO of the YMCA is on here. Why not ask him? I emailed him and I told him about everything because I actually read his story. He like started part-time being a swim instructor from YMCA like in the middle over there in the United States, and he basically moved his way up and now he's COO, and he was like, yeah, I'll mentor you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And my first talk with him, I actually started crying, and this was over the phone. And I'm like, oh my god, why am I crying? I haven't even met you in person yet. And to this day too, even though he is a COO and he, of course, he's busy with all his other stuff, he checks up on me here and there. I email him here and there. Hopefully we'll meet one day when our schedules align. But it was awesome being able to be forced to that program where I have to actually find a mentor within my actual organization. And then, of course, with my other job too, I have so many mentors there. A lot of people there, they come from different they come from different backgrounds and everything. And even though right now I'm not really sure if I want to go with the Y, do I want to be a full-time financial educator, but all of them come from different backgrounds and they kind of tell me what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And it's just so nice being able to like collaborate with people, especially it's kind of sad nowadays. All we do is like text, all this other things, and we don't really do a lot of like face-to-face interactions. So kind of going back to like the roots, like, hey, we actually got to talk to each other. We actually got to do some type of communication and really build that bond. And I think if it wasn't for high school and me kind of like jumping into that, okay, let's try to connect with people, I wouldn't really be where I am today, being more content with myself in terms of where I'm going to go, because right now it's like question mark. But it's really having that person in anything in life, even if it doesn't have to be about your career, it could be just life in general. It's nice to know that you have that person there, because yeah, I have my boyfriend, whatever, but you know, you need your other support system here and there. And it's nice knowing that whatever areas in my life I'm having trouble in, I can always email, I can always talk to somebody about this, and then I'm like, okay, maybe that person went through it and they made it, so I can too. Of course, there's that common sense, like, of course I'm going to make it, but it's just having that extra push that's nice. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll meet people here and there, they'll become your best friends and whatnot, and it's nice knowing that no matter their title, no matter where you start and finish, they'll still be with you throughout it all.
Okay. Do we have one more question? No?
Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question then, and then I want to have a little bit of time for folks to, if it's okay, to come up and talk with you if they have questions that they want to ask one-on-one. So hindsight's 2020. What would you have taken more advantage of if you were in their shoes as an undergrad?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but that didn't work out. At least I know I can't go back in time and tell, hey, fast Derica, don't be a nurse and waste your time with anatomy twice. But I think it's more of, because for my last 2 semesters, I took 18 units. I worked part-time, I did an internship, and that kind of like got me very overwhelmed. But I knew what I needed to do, and I think in terms of what I would have done back then, at least maybe to help me see clearly of what I really wanted to do, maybe even like take more internships or even like part-time jobs that were more of like the real world instead of like working at Taco Bell or working at like movie theater and stuff. It was fun and everything, but I think if I maybe took those extra steps and building my resume, building my skill set, and maybe putting myself in different settings, then maybe I knew where I kind of wanted to go. Because during the job process of finding where I wanted to do, it was kind of rough for me because I didn't really know, did I want to be in a big building? Did I want to be at the desk? Did I want to be in the classroom? What type of environment did I want to be in? After doing the practicum here and going to First 5, that kind of opened my eyes, like, oh, okay, I kind of like my desk, but I don't really want to be in a setting where it's a lot of people that are very quiet. I need a little more loudness, and kind of having exposure to those different settings. That way, maybe I could have saved more time. Maybe I wouldn't be so confused all the time. But it would be just like that, just kind of exploring my different options and really realizing like, hey, you're gonna be growing up very soon. You're gonna be paying your own insurance soon. So try to branch out from that, because I think towards the end I kind of wanted like, oh my god, this is my last year, I want to have fun. But I'm like, oh wait, now I have to take all these units, all this other stuff. And I needed to kind of calm down a little bit, come back to earth and say like, okay, you should do this just to see how it plays out. That way later on you won't be as like stressed out or whatnot. But at the same time too, it's more of kind of realizing, relax, have fun as much as you can too, because at the end of the day you don't want to stress yourself out too much, because burnouts at work is true and it's real. And I guess too it would be me, like I didn't need to figure out everything right away, because I think I got scared being a first gen and being someone who supports himself financially. I needed everything figured out. But if I maybe just took a step back and like, hey, just take things day by day, okay? Take those little walks and cry it out just a little bit. But yeah, it's just really like what you said, giving back yourself the values and things, and then doing things like step by step by step. That way you don't be stressed out and getting your first white hair and everything.
For me, it would to tell myself that it'll all work out. I know if you're approaching graduation, there's a lot of pressure onto, finding the job right after high school. Especially like nowadays with social media, you're seeing your peers post like, oh, just got this job, I'm set, and it's making you feel some type of way, like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to rush into this job, like I'm supposed to hurry and be where all my friends are at. But it's totally a myth. You kind of just have to tell yourself that it'll all work out. Take every path, every experience, and kind of just have it add to your journey. You might not find the it job, your forever job right after graduating. Like I would say, like I've had so many jobs since I was 15, working at like Little Caesars to working at USF. So just take everything and add it to your path, because no matter where you're working or what experience you have, you can learn something from it and use that. Use that in your interview skills, use that in your future job. But just, it will all work out. No matter how long it'll take, you'll find the job that's right for you.
Okay. Let's see, what would I tell myself if I was in your guys' shoes? I would probably, what I would do differently is, I guess like right now would probably be a good time to just, start looking for jobs. Not to stress you guys out, but it varies. Like some places, they'll take a month to get back to you. They might take 2 months to get back to you, and then it takes another month to schedule an interview. And then let's say they want to bring you back for a second interview, and that's like 3 weeks later. You need to prepare yourself for that. You might not find a job rather quickly, like within a week or 2 or even 4 weeks. You definitely need to like mentally prepare yourself for it taking a few months, and that's okay. Let's see. Definitely taking the time, like if any of you are doing like internships now, I don't know if any of you are in your last semester, but if you are and you're doing any internships, definitely making the connections with the people or like the staff members where you are doing your internship, and kind of expressing what your career goals are, because maybe they might have suggestions, or maybe they might even offer you a job. Let's see, what else? I don't know, I can't really think of anything else right now. But yeah.
So just to quickly add, so I'm sure you guys know what these are, right? AirPods, right? All right, so AirPods are great. Now imagine if I had a free pair of AirPods and I had to give it to just someone that I knew, right? I probably wouldn't give this to you, right? Because I don't know who you are. I don't know your background. I don't know what you stand for. I would probably give it to my mom or sister or my friends. The point is, make connections. make connections with people in the field. That is how you get jobs. As you saw, right, I wouldn't give this to you, not because you're horrible. You're probably very qualified for these AirPods. But the reality is, a lot of times you're going to get jobs based on who you know. You get letters of references based on who you know, so make friends now with your colleagues, with professors. Get to know them for, like, really get to know them. Like, ask them what they like to do for fun. Grab a meal with them. That's something I regret not doing more of. I regret not making more connections. I do have some connections from my undergrad, but I wish I made more. The second tip that I would give is go to the Career Center. If that's something I honestly regret, it's not going to the Career Center. The reason for that is because they help you with the resume. They help you with interview skills. You need to go to the Career Center, and that's something I wish I took advantage of. That would have made me finding a job much easier. And I think those two are probably the biggest ones. Make friends, make friendships, and find out those technical skills of how to get a job for the Career Center here on campus. If you have many of you guys visited Career Center? So some have, some haven't. All right, go there this week. I highly recommend it. We've all been raised on how to write papers. We've learned APA format, probably, we can write in our sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what happened to me. But the reality is our classes don't teach us how to get jobs. And the only way that we're going to get jobs is through people that are well trained in that. So go to the Career Center. But those are my two tips. Make friends and get some help getting a job.
I can also add something.
Yeah, of course.
Also, be prepared for rejection. You are going to submit so many job applications. You're going to get tired of repeating everything over and over again. Why do you think your skills fit this position? Just be prepared for rejection because you're competing against so many people, and don't take it so personally that there was something wrong with you. That just wasn't the place for you, and find a job, or the job that takes you on will be the one that sees value in you and your skills. So try to flip it and not take it so much to the heart when you get a rejection, because they do come.
And then to kind of piggyback off what she said with rejections, kind of look at them as practice for the job that you are going to land. The more that you do interview, the better you'll get at interviewing. The way I like to look at interviews personally is it's just a conversation. They're not drilling you. It's not just a bunch of like, okay, this, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. Think of it as a conversation, like having a conversation with your professor, having a conversation with a friend of like what you're passionate about or why you want the job. I think that's something that has definitely helped me with interviewing, because in college, I didn't like standing up in front of the class and talking to people, let alone just talking to the professor. That was something that was nerve-wracking for me. But if you can just picture it as just a conversation of why you want the job or why you're qualified for the job, I think that could take you a long way, especially if you're a person that tends to choke up or get nervous.
Okay, well, I do want to give folks a little bit of time to come up and talk with the panelists individually if you had questions, to connect. I want to thank you all for coming. Like I said, this is my most favorite day. There is nothing more exciting as a teacher than seeing, you don't get to see, this very often. Seeing how well your students are doing and then having them educate the students that you have here is just, oh, what a joy. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it.